Peace, 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 peace. Let me make sure my sound is coming in. This gonna be a banger. This should be a nice little treat today for some of the, especially for some of the newer people. So, so what up? I'm your guy Ty Data, the sideboard coming through today. We're gonna have Duke of Tears come break down some stuff for us. We gonna go piece to the chat. Duke of Tears speak about Aboriginal community lineage, past and future. Um, First off, let me go ahead and get a shout out. You know what I'm saying? Let me get that out the way. So we simulcasting today. We in both chat rooms. We kind of got to do it that way because that's the only way we can notify all our people because sometimes they don't send out all the notifications. So sometimes we simulcast. So we over there, Tribe Up on Black Lotus Station over there. We got Sandra Zorn in the building, first in the building. So therefore you are a moderator. So don't let us forget to moderate you over there. Reginald Green's over there. Reginald Green's everywhere. Libra Sun's over there. We got Simone Bays over there. So yeah, we got Alton Warren over there. And Tribe Up. So we deep over there on Tribe Up. And where we at? We over here on Cheap Holiday Channel. Who we got first in the building? We got Ron Redbird first in the building. We got Auntie, the original Copper Empress in here. We got Night Hawk in the building. Reginald Green over there too. We got um we got Ryan Manuel in the building. What's up? How you doing, sir? Peace. Nice to have you up in here. Um so let me see. Hold on one second. Who else got in there? We got Miss Sandra Red in the building over there on Tribe Up. How you doing? Man, we got Easy Two Feathers in the building. Oh, that's pretty dope. Oh, what's up? What's up? That's dope. You know what I'm saying? So we out here. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about I'm gonna talk a little bit before we get in to let people know kind of what it's about. You know Now a lot of the older people, know a little bit more about Ducateers. Aseer Ducateers, he goes back, and and the Aboriginal community has lineage. Everybody wants you to believe that it's some spontaneous thing that just popped up out of Dan Calloway videos, and we all just watched a bunch of Dan Calloway videos and we just start hopping on the bandwagon. But truth be told, that the Aboriginal community has a actual lineage. It goes beyond. It goes farther. And Ashura Ducateers is one of those guys in the Aboriginal lineage. You know, that connects. That help connect the different generations. It does not have a organized lineage, so it's not organized. It's a cultural lineage. So let me get that clear. It's not an organized lineage. It wasn't like he had some tablets and then he passed it down to somebody and he passed the tablets down. It wasn't organized. It's cultural, and so because you're getting all these extra clout chases, and you're getting all these extra rumors that's going around, and truth be told is that we're not saying anything new. Okay, what we're saying has been around for a long time. The only difference is that we're trending now, and Dan Calloway is trending. So people say, "Oh, you guys are agents, and Dan Calloway's your leader, and this and that." It goes to show how ignorant they is of the Aboriginal lineage and the Aboriginal community, and how ignorant they is of what's actually going on. They just got caught wind with the Dan Calloway, with the Dan Calloway era, and uh uh and the trending. They just got caught wind of that. You see what I'm saying? So they don't really know the actual Aboriginal lineage. Now some of these guys know the Aboriginal lineage, but they still trying to they're still trying to say, "Oh, you guys are agents, you guys are this, and you guys are that." But in all honesty, far as I know, all the actual documented agents and the police informants actually come out of that camp, come out a different camp. You know what I'm saying? Now, I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? I could be wrong, but as far as my knowledge, all the documented agents and police informant comes out of, that so-called, monkey, where we used to be a monkey and all that, come out of that camp and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And I have yet to seen, you know, you know, but just because I ain't seen it don't mean it's not out there. But truth be told, you know, the stuff that we're talking about, it is not new. It has a lineage. Now, and there's different generations. Now I come in the newer generation. And so and there's people out there that's newer than me. And there's some straight, you know what I'm saying? And there's some straight hardcore Thai data, aboriginals out there too. I didn't know that, but I'm slowly finding this out. And so this is an actual, something I put together for the newer generation. Some of the older people, might not dig as much, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a Wikipedia page of the Aboriginal movement. And so I want to get I want to get a nice video, and I want to get some more, Aboriginal lineage according to me. Now, you know what I'm saying? Cause you have his lineage, then you have Chief Holiday, and Atanchanist one, and you have that whole era, you know what I'm saying? And well, it's still here. It's still their era, so it's not gone. And then you have their generation, and then you have what is my generation. My generation, we're still learning. You know what I'm saying? We're still learning. We're still, what I'm saying? We're still students. We half in, half out at the moment, you know. But then you have newer people, and to some of these newer people, they are familiar with me, and they understand me. Like there are some people out there that like, for example, there are some people out there that they don't they don't mess with me. They don't mess with me, but they hardcore Cheap Holiday. You see what I'm saying? And there's some actually people out there, they don't mess with Cheap Holiday, but they hardcore Cyborg. You see what I'm saying? So you have some people out there that have no idea what I be talking about. They be like, man, I don't know what Ty to be talking about, but they understand Cheap Holiday 100. And then you have some people out there, they don't know what Chief be talking about, and they understand me 100. You know what I'm saying? So so I come in the newer generation, and so the generation that I come in at, I'm, some kind of way, I don't know, some weird ass twisted way, I became like a some type of link of you know, some type of generational, marker or something. And so the people that becomes before me, and the generation that comes before me, not before me, I mean after me, and I am an actual, you know, what you call it, actual person that they're used to, an actual person that they follow. This is a treat for them. You know what I'm saying? Because to let you know that the Aborigines does have a lineage. It does not start with Dane Calloway videos, and it does not start with, Short Bus Shorty. It has a cultural lineage. And so that's one thing we're going to talk about. I want to put that out there. Shout out to everybody. And I'm gonna call him up in a couple minutes. And also, because I'm just not finding this out. You know what I'm saying? I literally had a person, somebody come to my store, and they was a 5,000 lead member, and they came to the store. They was like, yeah, they called me up. Well, actually, I called them up because I noticed the number. I noticed the number 612 or 651 or something. I'm like, oh, that's around here. And so they actually came to the shop, and they was, guy, like, he messed with me hardcore. You know what I'm saying? He a straight cyborg. And so he when he came to the shop, I didn't know what to expect. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what he was gonna say. I didn't know what to expect. But he came in and he was like, "Yo, man," he was like, "Man, there's a lot of dudes out there trying to be like you, bro." And he started naming off these dudes. I'm like, I don't even know none of those dudes. How they even know me? He was like, "Bro, they out there. They trying to be like you. They copying you. Like I even seen the dude with the headband trying to be like yours." And he was breaking it down to me and letting me know, like, man, like, bro, like, like, yeah, you gotta get out there, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people out there that mess with you. You know what I'm saying? That mess with you like that. And I'm just having hard times believing it. But you know, but in all reality, we all got that. You know what I'm saying? We all got hardcore, people that mess with us like that. And so this a little something for them. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the brother on the phone real quick. We're gonna go on a little quick commercial break. Shout out to the people. Shout out to the members of the 5,000 Elite. This is, what I'm saying, this is one of our productions. So I'm gonna go ahead and go quick break, and I'm gonna get the brother on the phone. And when we come back, we we finna get it in. So yeah, definitely hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? Share button. We finna get it in. Let everybody, um, yeah, let everybody get that out. So let's go on a quick break, and we'll be right back. And hopefully we had a Duke on the line. Here we go. 5,000 Elite. Communication, control, direction, action. 5000elite.com. Lakeisha Network. Protecting our future. Download the Lakeisha in your Google and Apple App Store. Available now. Global Girls Inc. We can make it if you can think it. Evolution POS. The future is now. Datadogs Communications. Mobile phone, software, and hardware repair. Universal Media Network. Bringing the world to you. We are a international private stock traded corporation. If you're not building, then what do you expect us to do? So what we got now, our titles going on is Aseer Dukateers talk about the Aboriginal community lineage, past, and future. And
Cool.
so I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dan Calloway, but he's a big
Uh,
yeah, he's a
yeah,
big star in the community. And so
yeah.
and what it is that what I kind of want to talk about is I want to talk about that the Aboriginal uh community, or the Aboriginal philosophy, or the lineage, because a lot of people's clout chasing, and they're trying to make it seem like we just sprung out from him, like we just saw some Dan
Yeah, like he
Calloway
just came
videos.
out of nowhere. Like Dane just created this whole movement that he based everything off the Moors with. Yeah, I got you.
Right, that's what they're trying to say. And
Hmm.
so I'm more of a newer guy, so I represent a newer lineage. I don't go past, I don't go way back, I don't go way back, like Chief Holiday them. Chief Holiday and Attention is one, they have their own class of lineage, and so they know people further beyond you. And personally, like I don't know anyone further beyond you personally. I done heard about people and things like that, but personally, so this is a personal cultural lineage that we're talking about. And so can you start that off? I want to get into some business before we go deep in. But right now, can you start off some of your personal, like some people you personally have contact with that you can say, okay, this is where this lineage come from, and can you give us like a like a lineage? Because I'm gonna make a Wikipedia page, and some of the stuff you say, I want to check it out, and I want to put it in the Wikipedia page, if that's okay.
Okay, I'm not really clear on what you're asking me though. Lineage to what? Like my personal family lineage?
No,
Or
no,
what you
I mean
talking
like for far as the philosophy goes, because everybody, all the clout chasers are going around. They just make it seem like we just popped up out of nowhere for some Dan Calloway videos, and so
about?
you go all the way back to when there was not the internet. Okay, you
Oh,
guys,
you mean? Oh, yeah. You mean? Okay. You mean a lineage like going back now, like in the community?
right in the community,
Oh
right,
yeah.
right,
Oh yeah.
right.
Yeah, we could do that.
Right, and so yeah, because he goes back in the day where they used to have to go to the library and they used to read books. So there was no Instagram back there. There was no there was no Facebook or anything like that. It was them reading books. And so what I'm trying
Mhm.
to do is I'm trying to get some personal connections from you. You see what I'm
Uh huh.
saying? Because you're personally connected to me. So when I tell my story and I say,
Mhm.
oh yeah, this stuff goes back to Ducateers. I'm not just
Mhm.
saying a mythical person. I'm
Mhm.
saying
Oh yeah.
someone I'm talking to.
No,
You,
I
you,
mean that was real. Like when I came out, that's all I was on. I was only on wearing feathers and all of that type of shit. When none of these niggas was out, none of these guys was out when I was talking that shit. Matter of fact, I did a tape called Native Blood live from the Shinnecock Powwow, and I went and showed the correlation from the Shinnecock Powwow, and then the next day was Labor Day on Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn, and then showing how the same people was doing the same shit, and the fact that all these people who you calling Indians were really Moors prior to the conversion, but because you know nobody wants to accept anybody that's hating on Moors like that are most likely somehow Freemasonically connected. Because most of these niggas didn't even know what a Moor was until they got into researching Aboriginal shit. And for whatever reason, if you're willing to be all these other things except what you were originally, then most likely you're an agent. There's a
you
lot of
said
agents in the community that are trying to move people away from their true birthright, nationality, and inheritance. And they're doing it through this fake movement. You know what I'm saying? Because in the end, if it's not based in the original name, then it's fake. If it's not based in the reality of the fact, like if y'all acknowledging every other person but the person, but Noble Drew Ali, then y'all niggas is agents because he was the one that said that we was already here before any of us was born. You know what I'm saying? So name anybody you want to name, Chief Warhorse or Dane or whoever the fuck else. All these niggas came out after. Name Elijah Muhammad, whoever you, they all came after the Prophet Noble Ali, and he was the only one that was saying that when the European got here, he found Moors living up and down the Mississippi River. He's the only one that laid out the boundaries and the true dimensions of the old Moorish Empire, both over there and over here. But because all these niggas is Freemasons, and they all swore oaths to keep this thing going, and also half these ADOS Aboriginal people, half these niggas was in the church last year. You know what I'm saying? Like these niggas just waking up, man. They don't know. And unlike other races, instead of going to the people who know, they follow a cult of personality. They go, if everybody's saying he's the man, then he must be the man. But this man got everything he got from Moors. This nigga even said that. He even said that he got it from Moors, but then you want to shit on him more. Which then means he's a Freemason. If he's a Freemason, he's an enemy of all of us. So that's why, again, Moore, you don't see me on tape with none of these niggas, because as soon as you endorse one, then you find out, oh, this one is really down with this, or this one is really down with this. You know what I'm saying? When really, none of us are where we need to be. The only way we're going to get there is collectively. But the problem, like I said, is that they want to follow through with what the white men do. They like the revisionist history. They like acting like they invented all of this stuff that nobody existed prior to them. This is where they at, because they think like white boys. Because that's how you know they down with them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, whatever. You know, we can go in it. I'm just really not gonna name niggas like that. I don't be giving niggas like that too much light, because in the end,
what what
I
what
feel
I,
like they're all agents anyway.
what I was trying to do. I was trying to get some of the people who you got the knowledge from, who you can say
Oh yeah.
I actually talked to that person. I
Well,
actually touched that person. You know what I'm saying?
no. When it comes to moral science, really, nobody taught me nothing with that except the prophet. Like, I didn't have a Grand Sheik. I didn't have none of that. In terms of inspiration, you know what I'm saying? Elder-wise, Bobby Hemmett, C. Freeman L. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much that. But it comes to this Morris son.
And
Yeah,
those are people
these
you
are the elders.
personally know?
Yeah, these
or
are people that I personally built with.
Okay.
Back in the days. But in that, they did not teach me necessarily about Morris science. They just answered certain questions I had. Who taught me about Morris science was me. And all of the books that I either bought, stole, you know what I mean, found, inherited, you know what I'm saying? Whatever I had to do to get this knowledge, that's what I did. So all these niggas, when they out here, like, I didn't have as they say in the nation gods of earth, I didn't have an enlightener. I didn't have no elders, because all the elders that I was coming through that was getting this type of knowledge, all these niggas was Freemasons. And I knew from the door that something was up with that, just through the nation of gods on earth thing. So when I found out that most of these guys, it's like, well, how could you be a Moor and a Freemason at the same time? How can you be into this Chemite shit, but then you a Freemason at the same time? Oh, that's the hustle. So all y'all act like y'all not down with each other, but in the end, on Thursday nights, y'all all in the same lodge doing shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I realized that, okay, this is really about preserving and keeping the secret as to who the original people are. So in order to keep people from dealing with originality, they got to deal with aboriginality. You understand? Mm-hmm. But the term ab means abhor, which means to avoid. You understand? Mm-hmm. So if you are aboriginal, and again, I speak Latin, so these niggas can't tell me nothing. If you are aboriginal, that means you abhor the original. Abhor means to avoid, to hate, to deject. Why not just be original? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Why not just originate? Because to be an originate, you actually got to have a nationality. And these guys want to be everything else but anything concrete and serious. You understand? Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as an Indian. There's no such thing as an Aboriginal or Tonk. These are designations. These are not the names of national people. You know what I'm saying? Even when you call yourself a Cherokee, like, that's cool, but that's not what that is. That's Ananawiya. And even that, what degree of Cherokee are you? Because the Cherokee or the Tasalagi was a group of confederated Moors from different clans that got together as the fire keepers.
Hold on one second. So you're saying there's different degrees?
Oh, yeah. There was different types of Tasalagis.
Oh, okay.
How you going to be a Tasalagi and you don't know what you are? Are you a pipe carrier? Are you a pipe keeper? Are you what you call it? Are you a pipe keeper? Are you a wind talker? Are you a water walker? What type of Cherokee are you? These niggas don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
They've never even heard of it.
I definitely want to get into some of that, but right now I want to go off on some business ventures, see what you got coming up before we go too deep. We're gonna pause it right there. So what you got coming up? You got a movie coming out? What you got going on?
Islam. I got a couple of things, man. I'm finishing up. I'm about to reprint my the book I wrote called The Dark Skull 418, the world's most dangerous comic book novel. I'm about to put that out again, and the prequels to it, which is another book it's going to be called John Henry and the Gilded Path. The first part is called Preamble. So I'm about to get that out. We've established our municipality out here, so we're good. We got our own like little thing popping out here. The city legislature, they ain't giving us no problems. You know what I'm saying? What else is going on? The Imperial Farm Ministry, we're reaching our goal in terms of a certain amount of people that we've been striving to help get their credentials, passports, and things like that straight. So we're about to reach that goal, so that's good. And then for the next year, we're about to initiate our 250-year plan, because we try to plan out everything for the next 250 years. So we're going to start. We're in maybe the first since 2014 is when we started. So now we're, I think, in the 5th year of that. So things is definitely moving towards a higher octave with that, and it's working because I'm not posting all of the positive aspects and everything on YouTube or Facebook. Like, you got to actually be in the nation and be with us. We don't. And I think if we of our people go back to that type of understanding, we would get a lot further. Because now we're in the show me era, where
Right.
more's one, where everybody and everybody want to be, what they believe everybody wants them to be in order to be famous.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, like, you got people who think that because this person has been talking a certain amount of information for us,
Hold on, you cut out for a little bit.
he's the faker, and he may be in the modern context,
Hello.
but that's not.
Sure. You cut out. There you go. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So when you see people hoist other people in situations like that, and they're not really building on the commonality and the actual legality. See, you can say what you want when it comes to Indian or whatever, but Indian title as a legal construct is a permissive title that's based on you being the opposite. So Indian title is not so much about you being related to the original Black Indians more than it's about how far you're not related to them. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So those $5 Indians is what they call it. They actually hooked up with the Mongolian so-called Indians that came over here during the Mongolian invasion in the 13th century. Those are the ones that we call Native Americans, who were regaled to the reservations. They are not the mound builders.
Right. Before you go into that, can you tell people how to reach you, just in case they want to get you on a show or they want to reach out and get some more knowledge? You know what I'm saying? Like I say, you guys, he represents another generation. You know what I'm saying? He's another generation who's been carrying this Aboriginal information. And now that it's actually Google trending, and now that it's trending, we getting different types of, we getting a new class of people, and we're getting a new class of haters. And so, I want to be able to let the new people know that this just didn't spring up off of no Google videos or no videos. This been around for a while, and we're not saying anything new. That's the sad part about it, because some of the older people should know that. You know what I'm saying? They should be able to say, bro, Dan Calloway ain't saying nothing new. They should be able to say Chief Holiday ain't saying nothing new, but they're not, because they're either clout chasing, or they're trying to paint a narrative to their crowd, like, man, these weird ass dudes just sprung up out of nowhere. And so, Duke of Tears is one of those dudes that he can let you know, like, no, bro, this ain't no overnight thing.
Well, I was doing this shit when these guys was in grade school. You understand?
Right.
Say what they want to say, but all these niggas was in school.
Let me let you get your information, and I'm just gonna let you go in. Just go everywhere you going. Just put your information out there if you want people to be able to contact you, and then I'm just gonna let you go. I'm gonna mute my mic and I'm gonna let you go.
If you want to hit me up or holler at me about this topic or any of the other topics that I'm known for speaking on, you can hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com. That's HOUSEOF as in Frank, E as in every, L as in Lord, at hotmail.com. Also, if you want to check out some of the work that I've been doing over the 25 plus years, you can see some of the stuff on YouTube, going back years. But I also have a website. You can go to www.aseerthedukeoftears.com, and you would see on that site I have a lot of older DVDs and things like that, books and stuff that can show improved timestamp dates and how long I've been building on this stuff. You know what I mean? And where a lot of these people's information is actually coming from. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I'm not here to castigate the young homies doing their thing. Like, if that's what they doing, like, my thing is this. I support any melanated being that's striving to be something other than Negro, black, colored. So if you down with that, I'm down with that. You understand? Right. I don't care what you call it.
Excuse me. Sorry. Can you spell that for me one more time? Is HOUS, is it OF or OS?
HO, house.
Yep.
It's house, House,
Yep.
of, as
OF.
in of America, OF,
Yep.
L, which is EL, at hotmail.com.
Okay, got it. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
So again, my thing is, I don't care what you call yourself. I don't care whatever it is. If you want to be, whatever, then be whatever, man. But just know how to stand on that if that's what you're going to do. Just know that you're going to be challenged on that if that's what you're going to do. And just know that if there is no representation of that in the real world that you can prove outside of the 1700s, then you're dealing with something that most likely is going to get thrown away. Because we as ancient people have to understand who and where our history began, origin-wise. But what has happened is somewhere around 1956, when our true status went under state secret doctrine, they needed to pump civil rights. Civil rights have nothing to do with humanity. Civil rights have everything to do with military occupational rights. Okay, when they told you when they went to war, they called it a civil war, right? But we think civil means like to be civilized in that way. No, it doesn't mean that. It actually means those who are in an armed conflict under the jurisdiction of whatever occupational force they're in. So a civil war or a civil servant is somebody that's functioning under the military auspices of the occupation. These so-called Indians, these so-called whatever, all of them fall under the Indian Citizenship Act that was put out by, what was this guy's name? Calvin Coolidge, a.k.a. John D. Rockefeller, because they was the same person. And these are the so-called ones that basically made it so that way when you walked off the res, you became a U.S. citizen again under subject. Why? Because going all the way back to Andrew Jackson, during the Indian Removal Act, during the Confiscation Acts, the only so-called Indians that was allowed to stay there were the $5 Indians, i.e. the Caucasian Indians, who had adopted the names of the original so-called Autochthon Moors, who were misnomered as Indians, who were then misnomered as colors and Negroes. These whites took their names, took the bays and ills off the end, and then put their name in the front. Adopted it. Then, after Jackson and them started flipping on the Siberians, who are the so-called people that Native Americans you see on the reservation, they all come from Siberia. Okay? They came over with the Mongol invasion in the 13th century on behalf of Genghis. There's a book on that you could get called The Mongol Invasion of the 13th Century of Bogota, Natchez, and Talamesca. Bogota is in Colombia, Natchez is in Mississippi, and and Talamesca is Florida. It'll show you how far they came up. Anyway, them two linked up. The $5 Indian and the Siberian Indian got together. The $5 white man posing as an Indian. The old Mongolian / Siberian / fake Native American Indian people, right? The ones we see in the teepees and all that. They linked together under the United States. And Jackson said, I'm going to recognize you guys as the real Indians, and then you guys will help us get rid of the rest of these dudes. And in return, you'll be able to have your little reservation or whatever like y'all been having. And they was cool with doing that. And so this is where these people came from. Meanwhile, those of us that was here had been reorganized under the Racial Integrity Act, okay, which then reduced our numbers, and then through the paper genocide basically stopped us from being our original personage with a stroke of a pen. So these Negroes want to tell you that the Moors had nothing to do with this, and there was no Moors here, and this, and that. But I got a map of the barbarous nations that was here in the United States from the 1500s, and they got the Algonquin there, the Mississippi there, the Yamasee, and everybody else. So what this says to me is that part of the agreement was that in order for you to move up in this society, you have to deny your Moorish heritage, because the Moors are the ones who are the true possessors of the land. They are the ones that were already here. They were the ones who freed and accepted all of those who were not in our nations to provide them ways of civilization. To the point we created a religion based on how we naturally live, we'll call Islam, that the basis of it had to teach the layman how to bathe. Meaning that we had to, in order to civilize these people, we had to put bathing into the religion. We had to chain them to the Quran and all that. You understand?
I got a question for you. Hey, when you say Moors, are you saying that through like some type of like bloodline heritage, or are you saying that like through the culture,
I'm saying,
or both?
let me see if I can find it while I'm talking to you. I'm saying, when we talk about Moors in America or Morocco or anything like that, we're talking about right here in America. Because anything, the maps and everything that these people are talking about that they think they know, they don't. Because one thing is, you cannot speak on a nation if you have no nation. Okay? And these people that's talking this and that or whatever, what they're claiming are not nations. They are actually bands. Okay? There's a difference between a clan, between a nation, a clan, a tribe, and a band. These niggas is bands. They're at the bottom of it. Okay? They're bands. They might as well just pull out instruments and start playing.
Dude, we see a lot of us is not as advanced in the knowledge, so we're a little lost. You know what I'm saying?
Which is exactly why you don't see me on TV trying to holler at these people and trying to, you know, make them feel a certain way or whatever. Because at the same time, these dudes is young, man. They still learning. I'm still learning, but I know enough to know what I'm not. That's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. You can have knowledge, but wisdom is based on the experience. Wisdom is based on you actually going and doing things with this knowledge in those who know law and stuff like that, and seeing what type of favorable reply you get based upon the status that you're claiming. But you cannot go to somebody and you have no nationality talking to them about what their nationality is or isn't. You're a fool if you do that. And that's why these guys that's getting these people wrapped up, when they got them now wanting to be descendants of slaves. Do you understand what they doing? Look, you know why you and I can never be slaves? You know why? Because neither one of us have ancestry from anybody from Slovenia. In order for you to be a slave, you have to have Slovakian DNA ancestry. Okay? That Slovakian DNA Khazarian ancestry is the basis or stock of the term slave. So what this means is that when these things was brought out the caves or wherever they came from, they were automatically subjugated. They've never not been somebody's property. When I say they, I'm talking about the descendants of the Slovenians, the Slovaks, the Khazarians, the so-called WIGHT whites, the so-called white Europeans, these people. These people have never had any property of their own, everything or identity of their own. Every identity that you see them have, they got from somebody else, mainly somebody that looked like me and you. So you and I, to refer to ourselves as descendants of slaves, we are now saying that we're descended from the nation that was designated to be slaves on this planet. And that was not us. That was them. So when you call yourself a slave, you're basically giving yourself a false designation, which then means what? You're crazy. You're crazy because you don't know your history. You're crazy because you believe that you are descended from a people whom by which you know nothing about. You're crazy because you're taking your bloodline and inheritance on face value, and you're negating the truth of it for a loaf of bread. So you basically out here saying that, well, because my ancestors were slaves, I deserve reparations. What? Nigga, you don't deserve nothing, because slaves don't get nothing. Slaves get what they given. So by your own mouth, you have disqualified yourself from ever getting anything out of that, because you first admitted that you were inferior. Do you know anybody who has listed themselves as inferior and got a superior result?
Nope, that don't even, right.
No.
Nope.
No. But see, like I said, youth fosters rebellion. Age, seniority fosters experience and wisdom. And what I'm saying is these brothers is out here really just trying to get likes. They really just want people to pay attention to them. And I'm not even talking about one person in particular, because, these niggas sensitive. So they be like, oh, Duke trying to this one. Like, the thing is, I don't even care. Like, I'm at the stage in my life where it's like, if you believe what these dudes are saying with no basis of any type of factual, rational nationality, if you're going to follow this dude, because I got some of the books these niggas be talking about, and in some of these same books, they talking about the Moors, but they overlooking that paragraph, see what I'm saying? And then going to the other one. But I got the book, money, so I know what you're leaving out. Therefore, you 10%. Therefore, you work with them people. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, you're my enemy. I don't give a fuck how black you are, how much feathers you're wearing, how many feathers turbans you're wearing. You an enemy if you concealing the truth. It's one thing if you don't know or you was mistaken. But I don't think it's that deep, because you know what? The internet is out here. I be knowing these niggas be watching my stuff. Just based on some of the stuff they say, I know they watch me. And how could they not? I've been out here doing this before the internet. So because I'm not out here every day big banging on my chest, hey, look at me. Hey, I've been here all these years doing that. No. The purpose is the work. Mm-hmm. The work is to uplift fallen humanity. See, that's the difference between a leader or a true representation or archetype of progression other than a bunch of niggas on the internet. Look, what's black people flag? What's Aboriginal people flag? What's Aboriginal people creed? What's Aboriginal people dominions? What's Aboriginal people religion? What's Aboriginal people dialect? What's Aboriginal people creed? What's Aboriginal people's expressed trust? They don't know. They don't know, because there's no such thing as Aboriginal people. Then again, that's a designation. Even the Aborigines in Australia have individual names for their clans. You understand? They're the only ones really on the planet that can use the term Aboriginal nation, because they got a passport for it. But again, that's not the name of the country. They don't call the country Aborigine, do they? No, it's still called Australia. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying all that to say, in order for you to be that, you have to understand the difference and the connection between your clan and your empire. There's basic books. Like when I was coming out in the game, you would be hard-pressed to find any books on Moors. So in this new era, I noticed that with all of this present information, with all of this stuff that we think, that these blacks, these Negroes would still go out of their way to be anything but Moors. It lets me know who they really work for. And who they work for is their master. And their master is the one that's out here telling them shit that's not true. Now, that master can take the form of whatever government liaison handler they got. It can take the form of whatever Freemason in their family that gave them this fake knowledge or gave them this knowledge or whatever, but didn't give them the whole thing. Whatever it is, whatever agreement, whatever begrudging issue they have. Like, I don't deny that I may have African descent, okay? But I don't have African nativity, because I was not born in the continent of what we call Africa. But because I know history, and I know a language other than English, I know that the term Africa is not even an African word. It's a Latin word. And the only people that spoke Latin at that time were the Moors, the Carthaginian Phoenician Moors, who came over here, back over here in the 3rd century BCE, and re-annexed this thing back to the old world, because this was the first time it had been re-annexed back since the flood. We were here when the whole thing was together. And when that whole thing was together, there was no Indians, okay? There was no white people. There was no none of that. They want us to believe the history based on what they say it is. Or they want us to believe that we are everything other than what we know we are. So every treaty I done seen these niggas write with an Indian, they done broke. Everyone.
I gotta
But every treaty they done made with the Moors, that shit is still in effect. And that shit is protecting me right now. And the way I know is because I'm out here in the field every day, in habit, going at these crackers, getting people. We just got a Moor out of jail for 10 years. He ain't have no paperwork, no nothing. They was trying to ramrod this Moor and lock him up, trying to say his Irish moss was heroin. This is how crazy these niggas are. And they was really going to do it. He was just affiliated with us, Moor. Just affiliated with. I used him as a witness in a document. Do you know the night before the actual hearing in the case, they threw everything out and said, regardless to what happens in court the next day, regardless, nothing is going to be recorded. He's not going to go to jail. And this whole proceeding will be sealed from this point on. It's called the Notice of Limine. Limine. Don't know Indian, don't know Aboriginal know about none of that shit. See what I'm saying? Because they don't read real stories. They don't read real law about how to actually stand on your square and do this. You can go and talk all you want with these crackers about whatever you want. But if you go in an inferior title, you're going to get an inferior position. And that's what they're doing. They're calling themselves slaves. They're calling themselves aboriginals. They're calling themselves natives. They're calling themselves indigenous. None of those, there's no place called indigenous land. There's no place in the world called Autochthon world or Autochthon land. There's no place called black land. There's no place called Negro land. You know what I'm saying? You might as well call yourself, you might as well say you come from Candyland. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the future, because what we want to do is we want to get some of the younger people, some of the newer people, we want to get them activated. You know what I'm saying? Because for some reason, it's like people don't understand the significance of action. You see what I'm saying? Because it's like whatever you are, you know what I'm saying? A activated or an active lie, it's always gonna,
Yeah, lie.
it's gonna be, right, it's always gonna be a lie. But if it's active, beat it's gonna beat the truth. If you got the truth, if you got the
It don't no more. It
no,
don't.
no,
Not
no,
because
I'm talking about far as like numbers. I'm talking far as like
it's
more
not
people
even that
expose it.
more.
Because if you got the truth, hidden away in the basement, if you got the truth hid in your garage, and the lie is out there at colleges, the lie is out there on TV, the lie is out there, in the movie theaters, and it's flashy. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it's like it's like when you hear the truth and the lie is so active. When you hear the truth, it's gonna come off as if it's the lie. And so I'm saying that in the sense that, if you got the truth and you're an active truth, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I want to
Mm-hmm.
know for some of the things that some of the people can get active in. And if you can talk about some of your, some of your activities, schools, or famous people you done met, or whatever it is, or some of the things that you can say, okay, this is what activity looks like, and this is what I've accomplished. Because we don't really talk about that much. We just usually go on these little points and back and forth points, and we kind of miss over, actual action. So for the younger people out there, if you got the truth, you got to have an active truth. You have to have an active truth. Like there's no purpose of having a hidden away, truth, because the
Mhm.
lie comes shiny as hell. The lie come cloaked in the best clothes. The lie is sexy as hell, and it comes, it's so flashy. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the truth come ugly. Sometimes it comes broke down. Sometimes it comes harsh. And so you have to be able to get that truth out there actively. So what are some of the things you think some of the younger people in the
See,
community can do, and you can go on yourself if that's okay. Some of the things you personally done.
first thing I did, well, when I came up, there was no internet like that. So I was blessed with the ability of listening to my own thoughts and not predicating everything I think on what the next YouTube clip say. So anybody living like that, you're living at a detriment. This society wants you to externalize everything internally. So anything that is of value to you, you need to keep that to yourself. You need to learn the power of indifference. You have to learn the power of not being so easily triggered and thrown off your square at the first sign of somebody not agreeing with you. You have to know how to let the dead bury the dead, as they say. You know what I'm saying? And the problem is our people have been emotionally bankrupt or emotionally victimized to the point where they think everything is against them. And they're right. But what's against them is the falsehood, not the truth. The truth is art. That means that the truth is, as Thanos in the Avengers said, is inevitable. That's why I
That was
love.
dope.
That's why they love and hate him so much, because Thanos, dark side, uh, 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 Skeletor, Mumra, anybody like that, any character that you grew up watching like that, Darth Vader, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They all represent the visage of this big, giant black titan that nobody can stop, and that doesn't care what you think. That's how all black men used to be. In order for you to be a man, and again, I'm not an expert. I'm 46. You know what I'm saying? And I will never act like I know like what everything, the end all to be all is. All I can know is what it isn't. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm. I
Because
know exactly what
knowledge
you're
is
saying.
always coming. So when I declare through my declaration of nationality what I am, I'm also saying what I'm not. Because one saying yes to one instance of evil is saying yes to all of it. And anything that is promoted to you to break the continuity of your family, you should already know is false. But like I said, we have been prone to be triggered by everything because they're literally doing everything to trigger you. So in an element like that, you want to link up with people who are like-minded. However, you have to understand that all of us was born prisoners of war. Okay?
Hmm.
All of us are exiles in our own homeland. Why? Because we started to fight against each other at a time where our consciousness was somewhat going into a hibernation cycle. And we started to disinherit each other by proxy, by raising up the slave class to fight. And then in return, if I had a fight with you, you had a fight with me, we get both of our slaves together to fight it out on our behalf, almost like a football game. And then whoever wins, that land gets forfeit, and now the white slaves that took it get to stay on it and pay me rent. You understand?
Hmm.
So we're talking about a war to disinherit each other by proxy. That's going on to this day. When black people get in problems with each other, the first thing they want to do? They want to go call up the occupier to handle their business when they can just handle it for them. When some shit go down between the Jews, who do they call? They go to the rabbinate. When the Sikhs get in problems with each other, who do they call? They go to the Sikhate. When the Muslims get in problem, where they go? They go to the imam, the imamate, right? When the Christians got a problem, where do they go? They go to the deacon board, they go to the bishops, they go to the cardinals or whatever, right? When the black people have problems with each other, who they go to? Where they go?
The police.
See the problem? See the problem? See the problem? See the problem? You don't got no privacy. You don't even have the right to have your own hair. Okay? You don't have anything. You do what we say because you agreed to it when you decided to come into this thing through the 14th Amendment, not knowing or knowing that you was already in the thing, in this whole thing from before the 14th Amendment, going back to the preamble to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Articles of Association, Articles of Confederation, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1787, the Organic Constitution of 1787, the Judiciary Act of 1789. All of these things apply to you, so long as you're not somebody's property. But these niggas say, okay, well, I ain't nobody's property. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be an Indian. What? What? You just taking off one yoke and putting on another. You understand? The only free people on the planet, believe it or not, are Moorish Americans or Moors. You know why? Because everybody on the planet is living off our inheritance since 1492. And we can prove it, and they've already acknowledged it. They've already acknowledged it. You know that the legislature of Georgia put out House Resolution 1203 that says that the Moors and the Moorish Americans are the mothers and fathers of humanity? And that's what they were then, all those centuries ago. They are that today. But then they're going to say that we sovereign citizens or we don't have no legal standing law. Which one is it? Because it ain't just that one.
Hey, brother,
there's over 50, there's over 40 plus, almost 50 plus in every state. Almost every state doesn't acknowledge that.
Hey,
but
brother,
you wouldn't even know. But the thing is, the black people in the state don't even know.
Somebody got a question real quick. Thanks for the donations. Reginald Green and Serious Killmonger, man, y'all been putting some serious time in. We appreciate it. He said, what's the difference between a Moor, which is a M-U-U-R, and a Moor from M-O-O-R?
M-O-O-R Moors are Moors who had their history documented by people from what we used to call Albine, what we today would call England. M-A-U-R is somebody that's a Moor coming back now prior to the establishment of the UK, going back now to the Roman/Carthaginian phase. M-U-U-R Moor is somebody who had themselves as Moors written down or documented by somebody that was over here from the Spanish or the so-called Louisiana territories or whatever. M-O-H-R Moor is somebody who was a Moor who had their history of themselves or the word Moor written down by somebody that was in Norwegia or whatever. M-O-O-R-E Moor, again, is now somebody that's either connected to the Austrian, Hungarian/British throne through the Hanoverian dynasty. So it's just all how you write it, but a rose by any other name smells just as sweet. The idea, though, is that to be a Moor, right, is taking you back out of into a nomenclature or a identity that is outside of this temporal timeline. That's why they don't want you dealing with it.
Cool. So, yeah. But before you go in too deep, can you go ahead and let them know some of the stuff they can be doing and let us know some of the stuff you did? Because I believe you speak at a couple colleges or conferences and stuff like that.
For years, but for over 20 years, But the difference between me and a lot of other people is that I was never into building a cult of personality around myself. You know what I'm saying? It was not really a cult.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Of personality around my name or who I am, meaning you've never heard me refer to myself as a master teacher. You've never heard me over the years refer to myself as a leader or you never heard me refer to people who check me out on YouTube as followers or subs or subscriber. Like all of that, that's the reason why these guys got to be on the internet every day. Why they got to do that? Because they got to feed that beast. They got to feed that type of
but
speech.
but see, there's a group of people out there, because now the Aboriginals or this philosophy is actually trending now. So it's a big conversation and it's actually trending. And
And it's
so
good.
right, and so and
Great.
so and so I want to talk to the people that comes before me. This show was
Yes.
supposed to be, I just want to make sure the
See,
people that comes before me, I want to let them know, like, you know, uh, get out there, get, what I'm saying. If
speech.
you get out there, get speaking, get, what I'm saying.
Right. But see,
Don't
the
just get
thing is, you
stuck
got
on
to
your finding your grandmother. Don't just get stuck on, what I'm saying, joining a tribe or whatever. Don't just get stuck on getting your nationality. Don't just get,
anybody
like, keep
not
going.
talking to you about your birthright, your nationality, your inheritance, or some sort of divinity, some sort of higher righteousness, some sort of higher moral fiber is your mortal enemy.
Hmm?
If somebody would have told me that in '95 when I first got knowledge of self, and then by '97 I'm hardcore all the way in, and I watched all, like, back then it used to be a lot of different types of movements, black indigenous movements, like the NOI, that's an indigenous movement. The even Black Lives Matter, that's still an indigenous movement because indigenous black people are setting that up or would want to be a part of that. But that doesn't mean that the people and the goal and who set it up or whatever in the auspices in the top, they might be indigenous, but that don't mean that they have the same motivation for doing it than you did. Remember, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So let's say that these people did it right, but once George Soros and these people start funding your situation, it's over. It's over. There's nothing that you can do. And any organization that is not about getting black people to, so-called black people, to involve themselves in what their real national identity is a distraction. So, great. Join an Indian tribe. Okay. Now you're an Indian, right? Now what?
Right.
Indians got casinos. Indians got casinos. Them niggas is still drunk. They all still suffering from alcoholism and every crack use and opioids and everything else. You just don't see it because they on the res and they counting their coins because they taking your money when you go there and put your little fiat in to keep it going because they got to pay Uncle Sam because they work for the dude because they're not from here either. They're from Russia. They're from Eurasia. And the people that brought them over there were Moors, Asiatics that look like us. The same way we had foot soldiers, Arabs, in whatever situation, we had to chain them to Qurans. We had to teach them how to bathe. We had to do all of that just to get them ripe enough to go out there and be the foot soldiers, get rid of everything, scorch the earth. So now the real people, us, we now come in and build up the civilization, build everything up. And then now, because they've been under restriction, we give them a certain autonomy. And then they live under us and do what they need to do, just like every other race and every other culture on the planet has done since 3100 BC. This is what it has always been. The world basically ended in 1492. And in 1492, the people that was running the world were Moors. So that means everything that came after was them and either remnants of them and the people who usurped them, taking what they had, flipping it and bounce it, recreating history, making you think that you're this. So that way today, being that was the people who left it for you. So if you don't identify with that, then you'll never get it back. It's easy. Who does it benefit? Put it like this. If your name was Steven and you had a house and you left, but whoever had the house for you left it in the name of Steven, and then you went somewhere else and you changed your name, and then you came back and now somebody's in the house, and you can get the house, but you got to prove your name is Stephen, but you don't got nothing in that name Stephen no more. How you gonna get the house?
We got a lot of peoples out there with a lot of questions and a lot of a lot of stuff to say. And I'm not, what I'm saying, I told you my purpose in the beginning. Okay, my purpose is to let people know we have a lineage. We ain't just sprung up from Dane Calloway videos. That's the purpose he's here. And so, you know, and
Let's
that's
do this.
and that's where we're and that's where that's what I'm saying, and that's kind of what we're talking about. So as far as
You
what he
can't.
say and what he what he got, that's his
I'm
personal
not. I'm
belief.
not even speaking on this person that you're speaking of. I am not, as from the beginning of the show, I'm telling you, I'm not speaking of him specifically or anybody specifically. I don't know any of these people, and I
Yeah,
have no vested interest what they're speaking or whatever. My interest is in the origin of it all, and the
right.
origin of it
Because
all
this is the thing.
started with us.
Because you're a Moor and you speak more history, and so people are under the impression that you know uh that some kind of way I'm a Moor or some shit, and I'm like secretly like I'm working with you or something like like people are stupid as
Look,
hell.
man.
What I'm
Look,
saying?
my
I brought the man over to show some lineage of the Aborigine community, and that's all. What I'm saying? For far as what comes out of his mouth, that's his.
anybody, all of
We
this,
don't we
all of
don't have
this.
no what I'm saying? We don't have no document, and we ain't taking no oath or no
Look, man,
shit
the
like
brother
that.
called me on the phone. The brother called me on the phone and asked me on the show. If y'all want to make it some conspiracy into something else, then that's what they
Right?
do.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying.
you
Like
gotta
people get
understand,
y'all
more.
getting weird
I've
out there, man. You know what
I've
I'm saying?
seen generations of this same type of behavior from our people. It's nothing new to me. That's why I don't, like I said, I practice certain indifference when it comes to certain things.
Right,
I
right.
don't have a vested interest in getting. I don't. If
But
you hate Moors or you don't want to accept that that they were also original people, you have to ask yourself why, where you're getting this information from, who you're getting it from,
right,
and what information have you seen by your own self to do that. Don't tell me what you've seen someone say on the internet. Don't tell me what you see some right to travel document DVD, the Moor getting dragged out his car and all of that. Don't tell me what this person that you follow from one of these organizations done told you. Don't tell me what this person did with this house or this person, whatever. Well, don't tell me none of that. Tell me an experience that you had to show me that, and I will guarantee you 95, if not all the percentage of these people, ain't going to have one outside of any of this shit that I just said. Therefore, because man knows not from being told, they are still asleep.
right.
So I'm not here to try to convince you of your lineage and all that. Like, I don't got to do that. I'm here building with you because that's what you asked me to do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
it's really that simple. Like,
right,
I for the years
right.
that I've been out here, that's why you don't see me on tape arguing with any of these people or debating ever. You've never, nobody has ever seen me do that
Right. I also
because
want to talk
I'm,
a little bit about that too, because I know you've been around. You've been around. When the conscious community was just, you know,
it was just us. When it was just us.
right. So I do want to talk. I do want to talk a little bit about that as well. Because a lot of newer people don't know nothing about that. Like I say, it's a different environment once you start trending. A lot of people don't know that once you start trending, you have a lot more eyes on you, a lot more expectations, and also a lot more speculation. And so, the goal, of the conversation was for the newer people, for them to see that we ain't just sprung up from the Russian document. This is not no, some shit like that. This information is not that new. You know what I'm saying? And some of the Moors carry some of this information, and some of the people in your family carry this information, and there's lots of different people carry this
And
information.
they hid it from you.
The
And they're
only
telling you
difference
false
the
information.
only difference is that we're trending now. Now that
Mm.
we're trending and we actually picking up, Google points or whatever you want to call it, now it's taking a whole new toll. And so for those new people out there who's just getting caught up the wind, this it was actually, this was actually dedicated for those people. You know what I'm saying? Because we got the cheap holidays, we got the A1s, and they could break down all the indigenous stuff. You know what I'm saying? But and they can
Great.
break down a lot of this stuff. And so yeah, so they can break down a lot of stuff. But um, but Duke of Tears goes back to an era, before a lot of the people. So he represent, what I'm saying. So he represent
Respect my record, man. I was talking about all of this stuff when the Moors was just really just building on stuff just being somewhat Islamic. But I always understood that we predate what people understand as the religion of Islam was based on how we as ancient cultures lived. They based all of their religion off of the understanding on observing how we interacted with
right,
creation.
because
Therefore, go ahead, Mo.
right. See, he is. He know what I'm saying. He is a Moor, so he's all. So he's gonna have his more, his more opinion and his more, he's a Moor. Like what? Like
I'm dealing with facts, but
right,
that's the
right,
thing.
right, right.
You
You know what I'm
like
saying?
Moors? I don't like Moors because Moors bring the facts, man. I'm
Right.
bringing the
But
facts.
it seems
I
like
got
some
this CD
people can't
in real time. In
handle that.
real time. You understand? The
Right.
not like I said, I got the books. Half the books these guys are talking about, I done laid out on DVDs over the past 20 years, man.
So
Like people be acting one way, but see the thing is, there's a thing with more so than it being Aboriginals and Moors and this and that. What it also is, man, is also respect, yo. There's a lack of respect that so-called blacks, Moors, Aboriginals, RBGs, Egyptians, what else? Whatever you want to call it, whatever you identify with,
right,
okay?
right.
Whatever you identify with, there's a
Exactly.
lack of respect for how we interact with each other's opinions and the fact that we want to control and we want to castigate other groups that don't identify exactly with how we do, knowing damn well we all in the same boat. We all are dealing with the same devil. We all dealing with the same family issues and all of that. But
Okay.
we want to always try to make it like this one group over the all. My platform is this. You can say what you want and be what you want. I'm not dealing with my opinions on it. I'm been producing factual information to corroborate my platform, which was and is that the so-called Moors or Moorish Americans or the Moorish Empire has been misnomered by thousands of years, for hundreds of years, under various different names and various different peoples, and our people have been made to be against it. And now that it's coming out that there are huge aspects and benefits to it, the people who have been sworn against you dealing with it are now putting things out there to make you be against it. There's no difference between COINTELPRO was initiated by Caucasian people, yes, but it was implemented and is implemented by people that look just like me and you. They are the ones keeping it going. So anybody that is promoting ideas that one group is better than the other, or you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that, right, without any direct dialogue or communication or open exchange of ideas, where people can actually do that. Because I have actually produced documentation in front of people that was indisputable, and because it came from me, and because I'm a Moor, you see, they not hearing it.
Right.
But the cracker, every time that I've gone and demonstrated, has done exactly what he's supposed to do, has not only acknowledged, but has gone out its way to make sure that I get what I needed in the situation, without me having to sign over to the man, join no damn order, or compromise myself, my people, my integrity in any type of way. Whenever I hear about these Indians and these people dealing with stuff, they always dealing with how to crack it and just flip them over and all that. So I'm not saying that a piece of paper or anything does anything. What I'm saying is the spirit behind what you do is what makes it happen or not. And the spirit behind a lot of these people is weak and is corrupted. And it's coming out in the information that is being brought, because all it's doing is causing confusion. The truth do not cause confusion.
Somebody got a question.
I'm not confused. What's the question?
Shout out to Reginald Green, you know what I'm saying, for the chat. Reginald Green, man, you just had a baby, bro. You out there, you balling right now. He say, where did the Latin language come from?
The Latin language is a derivative of what we would call, all of the languages come out of a language called Tamil. Tamil. That's the oldest.
You say
root.
P or T? T-A-M.
T as in truth, A as in Allah, M as in more, I as in Islam, L as in law.
Oh, man, you deep in, boy. He done spelled it out in religious text. Like, whoa, he deep in there. Dugateers don't play no games, bro.
That's what it is. That's the oldest root for everybody. And then from there, we get other things like Sanskrit and all of that. And then from the Sanskrit, we get the Punic Phoenician Latin. And that Punic Phoenician Latin became the origin of the Romance languages that we call Spanish, German, French, English. The English that we speak in now is basically a derivative of what they call the original King's English. So we basically speak in the same English that our Moorish, so-called European ruling ancestors were speaking before they got usurped.
Somebody had a question. Can white people be Moors? Can white people be Moors?
No, they can be Muslim sons, or what they call Mamelukes, or what they call Janissaries or Days. They can be that. Mozarabs, they could be Mozarabs, which is basically a kept Iberian Christian.
Okay, we got an active chat. Y'all keep in mind we got 2 chats. So I'm trying to keep up chat. So over there in the other chat, what's some of the questions y'all got over there? Because the people want to ask some questions, and let's go ahead and get into some questions. What y'all got? What y'all got? Do your questions right now. Let me see.
Book, African Presence in Early America. Get the book African Presence in Early America. Get the book The Slave Revolts in Baha'i and Brazil. Get the book African Presence in Early Asia. Get the book African Presence in Early Europe. Get the book Ancient.
He said no, Moors can't be, white people can't be Moors. He said they could be some type of sons. What is it? What can they be?
One, the ancient term was Mameluke. 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 This is where the thing Luke from. Mameluke. Or under the Turkish jurisdiction, they were called Janissaries. Then a division was made for them in a pseudo ruling capacity, where they were called Deys, D-E-Y.
No.
But they were always under the boot heel of whatever Bey, Il, Dey, Al, Ali, Pasha, Allah, one of the 7 original clans, was always controlling, under them up until a certain time.
Anybody in the tribeup chat room, y'all gotta understand, I'm in 2 chat rooms, y'all. So anybody in tribeup chat room got any questions? Because before you go in, and we all gonna be Moors by the end of the day.
Get the book Primitive Black Nations. Y'all want to know about, y'all talking about Aboriginal and all of this. Y'all only talking about the shit in the 1300s. What about the Cayuga? What about the Chitimacha? What about the Mahapatana? What about the Pahahanawa? Like, these niggas be acting like they know about all this native stuff, and they don't know nothing.
Hey, somebody want to know if you can you build on the cast arrays? Hold on one second. Let me see. What is that? Is that Chad Murdoch? Are they all?
Like I said, man, I don't know any of these people to speak on anything. I don't watch any of that type of stuff. on purpose because I don't want to be influenced and I don't want to have an opinion. So if they have an opinion, so if somebody asks them about me and they have an opinion about me, that shows you the difference in terms of where we are in how I deal with shit. Like, I don't have opinions on people I don't know. But if you're asking me about a specific mode of dialogue or a certain ideology, I can build on that.
Okay.
But in terms of the individual cult of personality,
Well,
I'm not dealing with that.
well, I kind of really wanted to, wanted to brush into the future. You know what I'm saying? I kind of want to go into the future. You know what I'm saying? That's really, where I want to go in at. But like people just want to hear you talk. So I just wanted to, just let you talk. But
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm just letting you know and the people know that I am for anybody that's saying that we are not slaves, first of all. However, there's still an aspect of it, like I said, with respect, where people are trying to gloss over decades of people's work that actively went into active law in the United States that we are all benefiting from, that they want to act like is not relevant. So I'm not going to do that. There was nobody speaking of Moors or blacks or whoever being here in America prior to the European, prior to Noble Jew Ali like that. Nobody. But before him, there was a whole tribe. You talking about tribes? There was a conglomeration of tribes called the tribe of Ben Ishmael. And this was a conglomeration of all of the displaced Moorish tribes that had to take their tribal names as their national names. And so I went from John Smith Bey to Bey being my connection to the empire. That's stripped now. So now Smith has to become the name of connected to my nation. You see what I'm saying? Because my tribe is my family. So I'm John of the Smith Cherokees, but then I'm of the Moorish clan of Bey, of the clan of the Beys. That's what gives me the international connection to sell my red clay or my pottery or my beads or whatever in the ancient seaports across the waters like Saleh and all that. That's why you find ancient Roman coins and shit like that here from thousands of years ago. What, niggas was in teepees, niggas was in canoes, going all the way over there like that? Like, come on, man.
Hey, somebody had a question. They want you to build on the castratos. Is that right? What is that?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. They watched the joint I just did. I did a joint called the Breakaway Society, and it's on YouTube now. You can check it out. And on that, I build on what when people talk about, like, in the music industry, they be sacrificing people and all that.
Oh no, no. Let's not do that. Yeah.
No. That's what I'm saying. The people and the whole idea of like why music and stuff like that all comes from, or what people call the Illuminati and all that. That came from a specific place. When people talk about it, they talk about it only from the perspective of what happened in Bavaria, in Germany, with Weishaupt, who some people say was actually George Washington. Anyway, that was the latter part of that. The buildup of what became the Castrato movement and all that stuff that was happening came when the Moors fell after 1492 and after during what they call 100 Years' War. The amalgamated Moors, meaning the aristocracy, those who had, let's say, Moorish mothers or fathers, but one of their parents was like from another nation that was maybe lighter skinned. These ones started to be used to purchase Caucasian females and have babies with them. And then from there, they used to empower their youth. But because their youth weren't like us in terms of from the land and from the original thing, they only had a certain level of rights. So they were like upper middle class, but they could never be like the landlords and the rulers and all that. So they all begrudgingly got together and tried to do a coup d'etat. We found out, tried to get rid of them and chase them into the swamp in a place called Venice. So we barricaded them in there and they couldn't leave. So what they started to do was just build up Venice, what was left of it, from Rome, and they started to build it up or whatever, and they started to purchase the castrados. The castrados were the Mamelukes I was talking about. These are the Caucasian slaves that were imported from places like Circassia, which is now Eastern Europe, as well as Khazaria, which is now like Georgia, Russia, the Caucasus
Yeah, that's
Mountains
like
area like
yeah,
that.
that's like way over my head. Like yeah, it's like some people they're like super advanced in this knowledge, and so I'm like yeah, that's like way
See,
over
to
my
understand this, go back and look at the tape I did, Breakaway Society. You'll see I put the pictures on there. It makes it easier with the pictures. Long story short, we would import these things and we would castrate them. And so the Venetians used to buy the castrated ones and they used to use them in their choirs. And they used to put demonic hymns and stuff like that in the choirs because when the boys were gilded, as they called it, their voices were a certain pitch, so they could embed a lot of like what we today would call subliminal programming in that. So more like Mozart and Bach and Beethoven and them, they was a part of this thing called the Lodge of Harmony, and they were trying to create music to break the spell of all of that stuff. And so because they was having success at breaking the mind control, what they started doing with the castrados then was start to use them to sit on the thrones of Rome and the Vatican. And then they started to use them, the castrado people, popes, and their deviancy to then be the face of the Catholic Church and all of the stuff they was really doing. You understand? But these people, eventually, these families like the Breakspears and I got a list of them. It's on the tape. But all these different families, their descendants are running today. Like Bob Marley is a descendant from one of these families. Obama, all these people, because they all actually started as Ethiopians. They were all in Ethiopia first, and when the Ethiopians moved, they decided they got kicked out of a certain place in Africa. They moved up to where they are now, and then they displaced the original Ethiopians, who were a people they call Layabellans. And then they moved the capital, and then eventually they decided to go into Italy, and then from Italy they built the church and the school or whatever, and then Rome and all of that came out of that. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is the history that we even think we know is false. We don't even know where these places is taking place at and who the people they talking about, and we just assume they all white because they all white on Game of Thrones. But the reason why more black people watch Game of Thrones than white people, why? Because that's how black people culture used to be. White people know that they already know it's not them. That's why they'll act it out. But we watch it because that's how we used to really get down. That's how we fell. You're watching how your empire fell. All that treachery and all that bullshit you see them was doing. Well, where was white people getting velvet at in Norway? Okay? Like, think about it, man. Where was people in the 1700s? How was they finding cocaine in Ramses and them in the tombs and them in Egypt when they did the thing? They found cocaine in their body. They found coffee. They found weed. They found oranges. That's all indigenous stuff from over here.
They found
oranges. That means we was running cocaine. Whatever these niggas wanted, we was bringing it all over.
Hold on. So you doing that? So you saying they was eating oranges?
Look it up.
And that was in their system? Wow.
Yes, look it up. Wow. Look up cocaine found in Egyptian mummies.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Cocaine found in 35,000-year-old Egyptian mummy. Look it up.
Yep, I heard about that. Yeah, cause you going there. He going there. Yeah, I know some of y'all, man. Some of y'all out there, y'all deep into this knowledge, man. I'm sorry, I'm not a history person. I don't know a lot of this knowledge. So, but I wanted to, I kind of want to get on the future, for the newer people that's coming. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for the newer people that's coming. And so, what type of things you suggest or you have in mind for the future of the community, us as a whole? I mean,
in my opinion, in my humble opinion, we have to learn, like the prophet said, we got to learn to love instead of hate. We got to stop creating all of these illusionary differences based upon people who are really fostering those differences because they've sworn oaths to do that. It's like y'all watch, they show you all of this stuff about how all these people move in a secret. You're watching all of these different congressional hearings where all of these people going to jail. You're seeing all of these police shooting and killing regular people with no guns, no nothing. You know everything is totally corrupt, yet you still expect some sort of remnants under that system. You can't get it. You're not going to be able to do it because it's not set up for you. And you happen to be born at a time where the occupying government's forces are at an all-time low. Their birth rate is 0. There's no turning back. There's not going to be any people that we would consider white or Caucasian here on this earth within a certain amount of time. That's not me wishing them all gone. That's just what they have charted. That's why Georgia has put out this thing saying that if you get abortions, you're killing somebody. This is why this is happening.
Right.
This means that the less of them is being born, the less of their bonds is being cashed in. Everybody that's born is born under a birth certificate. That birth certificate is not just you as a corporation. That's what it is when you don't know what it is. What it really is evidence of their debt to you to be able to use your name and go online and trade through international things because your name is still good. Their name is mud. But they have set themselves over you as your trustee because you don't know that you're really the grantor. Your mother created that name. Your father created that name. It did not exist until you was born. Therefore, when you were born and before you even touched the ground, they put your foot on a piece of paper to create a separate version of you to start trading immediately. And your mother
Hey,
had no knowledge of it.
somebody said Noble Drew Ali, what tribe was he from? What tribe was he?
The Tasalaki, what people call Cherokee. But the northern Cherokees and the Cherokees, they were connected to the ones out of Virginia.
Hey, can you break that down a little more? Can you break that down? In the beginning, you was talking about different types of Cherokees, and you was naming like certain types of prestigious and certain type of job titles. Can you break that down a little bit more?
Yeah, you had different people. Like if you were in the Cherokee, the pipe carriers were Moors. They had to be Moors, meaning that they was eels or bays, which means they had an ancient connection to the old. I know a real Cherokee, a so-called Tadadagi Cherokee, 2 of them. One up in Canada and another one, I think. And they're Moors. And they grew up and was raised in it. But most of the other tribes had to get away from that once they all signed up under the BIA. You understand? So that part of the history is wrapped up in whatever Freemasonry they got going on in the reservation. And because they want to still maintain their Siberian, they wanted to go back to the Siberian look of that type of person. They had to keep that separate. But because so what they did is they tricked black people into trying to come back in the tribe under the designation as slaves, not remembering that they really were the slaves who the black people let in. And then with the Jackson thing I talked about, with the Removal Act, the Confiscation Act, the Indian Citizenship Act, all of that, that's when he hooked up with that specific phenotype that will work with the white people to then, again, give them casinos, keep them whatever, but then keep they people destitute. Same deal that they have like with drug dealers in the hood and all that.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Same type of situation.
Another question that's coming up in the new era, in the new wave of Aboriginals, or whatever you want to call them, the Aboriginal community, is slavery. And so you got some people that like people are trying to say we trying to deny slavery and things like that. And so I want to see if you can go in on this type of information is not just springing up. The only difference is it's trending now. And so because now a lot of that stuff is new to me because I'm not a slave researcher, so I don't know I don't know what you're gonna say. I don't know if you for it against it. I don't know if you believe it or not. So I don't really know. But a lot of people in the Aboriginal movement, have some skeptical of some of the magnitude of slavery that they said they have. Now nobody really 100% deny it. Sometimes we like to change the words around because it means something different. But nobody's going around saying like and nothing's never happened and everybody's lying. But but in the newer generation, it's something that comes up. Where do you stand on that? Far as everybody was a all melanated people was a slave, and all white people was a indentured servant type deal. You know,
All of that, like I said, man, all of that is what people get when they accept the history their slave master gave them. So anybody, look, if you came to me and something happened, God forbid somebody got clapped or something, right?
mm-hmm.
And you came to me and you asked me what happened, and then I told you what happened, and then you go home and then you watch the TV, and then the police say exactly what I said happened, the same way I said it, same way I said it, right?
Right.
What does that say? So does that mean I told you the truth? Or
No.
does that mean I told you what the police said? And if I'm telling you what the police said,
right, that don't mean it's true. That just mean what you told them.
and again, I'm telling you what the police said. You hear what I'm saying? I'm giving you the police's story. So what does that mean?
Right. So that means you're saying what the police are saying, but
What
that
does
doesn't
mean?
validate
Right.
it. That is true.
That don't mean it's true.
Right.
That just means that that's what the police said, and that's what they're writing in the report, and that's what they're going to put on TV, and that's what niggas going to believe, even though they know that the same TV says that all black men are not with their children, all black women are hoes, all black men are this or that. So how you believe in this, but you not believing that? How you believe in what is negative about you, but you not believing the part that's out? That shows me this has nothing to do with the white man. Now you're showing me a symptom of an illness. That's an illness now. Now you're showing that this has nothing to even do with that. This has something to do with you seeing yourself in a light outside of what you have been conditioned to believe you are. And that means you don't believe you're anything, because slaves, again, don't have no rights. And just because the people that you seen on them pictures is being hung, you just assume that they just slaves, right? They just whatever. They just imported Africans. What if they was actually the mayors and the governors and the queens and the kings and the city planners and the inventors and the scientists? Maybe that's who them people was when them people moved in there and did that. You understand? But you just so used to seeing that them as all being just shiftless, ignorant ass niggas. How is it that if Harriet Tubman is descended from slaves who was imported from Africa, how does she know the actual trade routes that went all up and down the East Coast and where to go to get around these crackers and where they were trying to get them? How does she know that? How did Stagecoach Mary, who was the first so-called Moor employed by the United States government to take their mail outside of the Pony Express, how does she know if she was an imported African slave however many years before? How does she know how to take the mail to places that didn't even have mailboxes in the 1700s? Tell me that. The 1800s. Tell me that.
Right.
You can't. Because you, not you, but proverbial you, meaning us, meaning the size of our people that want to hold on to a narrative that says that they were nothing and that they were taken from a place where no other place has ever claimed you and has no documented proof that you actually even came from there, to the point where they got to put, when you do the DNA test, put sub-Saharan African on it, so that way when you get 71%, you born here, you get 71 sub-Saharan African on your DNA test, you think that means you got more African than you than American, but the term sub-Saharan African in the DNA game actually means American, because it's anything other than subdivision or connected to the subdivision of so-called Africa. And the subdivisions of Africa in their thing is Northwest, Southwest Africa, which is North, Central, and South America. But Moors don't even understand geography. When I say Moors, I'm talking
uh,
about black
but
people.
but
They
as
they
you
they caught up.
but as people can see, you know what I'm saying, like this information, it's been around for a while. You see what I'm saying? It ain't just pop up from no comic
It
book
was here
or pop
before
up.
me.
Right, right. This
It's here
info
before me. I
right.
only figured it out because I got to a point where I realized everybody around me, it seemed like everybody around me was on the tape.
But
So
some
I couldn't trust their information.
but somebody
I
want to
couldn't
know.
trust.
Oh, somebody want to know, when like did you do your family lineage, and you traced
Yep,
yourself back to
yep,
Morris, or
yep,
or or
yep,
how did that work? Oh, go ahead.
yep. And those Moors were also called Tasalagi and Yamasi and Oachita, which is Washita, and uh, uh, Narragansett, which is again part of the what they call the old Haudenosaunee Confederacy, which they mistakenly called the Iroquois Confederacy, which was connected to the Union of the Six Nations, which was connected to the Seven Clans, right, which was connected to what they called the Consultus Huevos Regnum, which is the continental, the imperial continental armies, which go back to the original 13 clans that was running this whole thing, of which the 13 clans, one of the 13 families was united with the other one, because there's one family running the whole thing. That's why, like, people want to talk about the Spanish and the French and all that. Like, they don't even understand. All these people was black up until the late 1800s.
Oh, you know what? One thing I wanted to talk about too is that, when people say Native Americans, and like, so for example, Mexicans will be considered Native Americans, um but Mexicans have different rights from all Native Americans. And
Yes.
I never really understood that, how so-called the Native Americans that live here, they live in little reservations. They don't really have a
Because
real
they messed with the
government.
language.
You know what I'm saying?
The
They don't
language.
Right, they don't have a
They
real
messed with the language.
government. They they get some little privileges. It's almost like they're another wing, of the government. But then when you look at Mexico, Mexico's Native Americans, but they got their own independent land, their own independent currency, their own independent, everything. Like they damn near 100% independent in a way. And so I
It,
never understood, how can one be Native American and have independency, and the other be Native American but they regulate it. Like, how
you
does
have to
that work?
research. You have to research the Seminole Wars. You have to research. Get that book I told you, Slavery Boats in Bahia and Brazil. Get that book, because that'll talk to you about the real American Revolution. What we even understand is history is not even real. Like, there was no American Revolution. There was no Civil War. It's one war. It's one war from 1492 to now. You niggas is getting it twisted. You sleepwalking. You woke sleep. Like, it's the same people. It's the same situation. You are in a constant, what's called quantum redundancy. The loop. It's just different force faces with the same thing. They show you with the different images they got of the celebrities looking like they in the 1800s, and then they show you the picture of the dude now. They got mad at them because it's the same people. It's the same thing. And it's all because we have not accepted the fact that the history that we're in started really in our modern time with the New Madrid earthquake of 1811. That's what, that was when it was chosen. Because remember, they talked to you about the War of 1812, right? You heard about that, but you never heard about the New Madrid earthquake of the year before, because the year before is what laid out everything. And then once everything was usurped and everything was taken over, they created something called Reconstruction. Remember that? And put their names on the buildings and everything or whatever, and it was there. The Brooklyn Bridge, that was there before the white man got here. The white man ain't build that. These buildings, that these old looking buildings, that these crackers and these people live, they didn't build any of that. None of that. That was already here. All that, go Google online, look up the World's Fair. architecture from the World's Fair. That's all our stuff that they destroyed after. They told the white people that we just built this for this 2 months, these magnificent, crazy buildings for 2 months, and now we're just going to destroy them. No, them buildings was already there. And after they acquired more of our land through more of us selling out and more of us getting killed off, and then more Africans being imported, and then these Africans taking our place, and then we now on the same level as them, and we above that. Not above them as people, but above them as law, because we was already here. But they forced a false designation on us, which put us outside of the legal standing of law. There were 3 stages of slavery. Read the Constitution. Read these books these Aboriginal niggas ain't talking to you about. Read it. It says that this is the abolition of Negro slavery, African slavery, and slavery. Those are 3 different types of slavery, which was 3 different types of people. But all of them were connected to the slow box. Those of us that were not connected to the slow box were free. But they started killing anybody that spoke Latin. They started killing anybody that spoke Amharic. They started killing anybody that was black that spoke Hebrew and all that. And they were sending niggas from other countries like the Congo and all that over here to do it on behalf of the Portuguese. And so between the years of 1555, 1511, and 1864, we shut it all down. We shut it down, and we put the white ones that came over here, who was connected to the Portuguese and the Irish forced slaves that the Portuguese used to fight us, as well as the Circassian Eastern Europeans, right. and then put them on the plantations in the north, in Edom, in Virginia, and that was under what's called the House of Burgess.
Right.
Then in the south, we put all of the African ones down there, whatever, that came over here to shut us down, and then put them there, and they worked the cotton. And then the aristocracy of the South was the Moors that was running the shit. Get the book Black Confederates. Get the book Black Masters, White Slaves. Get the book White Cargo. Get the book White Slavery. Get the book The Forgotten Cause of the Civil War. Get the book Chosen People of the Caucasus. Get the book 13th Tribe. Get the book Iceman Inheritance. Get the book Making of the White Man. Get the book Anacalypsis by Gerald Massey. Get these books and then tell me what I'm saying is whatever. I'm not talking about anything that's my opinion, because when I research from the aspect of, when I started researching Moorish science, I started researching from the perspective that Moors aren't melanated or black people. So my purpose in the research was to prove that that was not true, that Moors weren't black. And the more I tried to prove that, the more the opposite came into view. You can't research from the perspective of what you want to be right.
Right.
You have to research from the perspective of an objective position. So because I'm a Moor, it has no bearing on my academic or my
judgment,
modus operandi when it comes to how I disseminate information enough to be able to understand it enough to bring it back to the people. That's why I'm not out here debating people and all that. I'm not going to put myself or the prophet or you or us or anybody in a position to look stupid or go a foregone conclusion. We arguing about the same thing. But because y'all niggas want to diss Moors, that shows me that y'all agents. Because the Moors ain't dissing you. I'm not dissing Africans by saying I'm not African. I'm saying what type of African I actually am, because the word Africa is not even an African word. It's a Latin word, which means it was a Phoenician Moorish word that meant those who occupied Libya, Tunis, Algiers, or Morocco. And it gradually came to be known to the rest of the continent as that. That's why Africans don't refer to themselves as Africans. They refer to themselves by what country they come from. Only niggas refer to themselves in mysterious terms like black, Negro, colored, ADO, whatever group organization you want to get into. What's your nationality? What state do you represent? What is your flag? What is your standing? What is your people's mission? I asked that earlier. You can't answer none of that. But what's the Moorish mission? To uplift former humanity. What's the Moorish flag? Any of the Moorish flag of any of the clans. What's the Moorish creed? The divine creed. What's the Moorish principle? What's the Moorish principle? Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, equality. Can't tell me. So something's wrong with me because I identify with love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality? No, something's wrong with you. Something is wrong with you. Therefore, I don't have to do business contract or even discuss anything with you because you've already showed yourself to be a peon, a Euro peon. Okay? And peonage is the state that they have Negroes in.
Yeah, we gonna go ahead. We're gonna take a couple more questions, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So y'all get y'all questions ready. You know what I'm saying? Today is actually my Chinese birthday, and then my American birthday gonna be tomorrow. So we gonna get in a little bit and ask some questions. But before we take some questions, can you get it in on the constructing of the conscious community for us? Because that's another thing. I kind of know you from the constructing of making this the whole conscious community, whatever type of thing you want to call it.
I was blessed to come into it towards unfortunately towards the decline. I met a brother and through my godmother, a woman that acted as my godmother, and he had just got out the joint, and he had just put me on to how the whole thing was, because I was already in the community doing things at community centers, things like that. I was at the time teaching at after-school programs in New York, as well as day programs through various organizations like MAP, which was like Museum of Art Project or whatever, different things like little societal things that the city government made up to justify why they want to shut the programs down. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing that, and so I wound up doing the first one on comic books, and it was called The Science of Superheroes, and nobody had done anything like that. And I did 3 lectures in that series, and then from there started expanding the scope to bringing more of the national understanding of us as being not only indigenous, but qualifying what type of indigenous and how that related to law in the present day, like how we could establish things like trusts and estates in our ancestral estates, and then use those to practice group economics and use our society as the third party, the buffer between us and the devil, and the benefits of that. And so, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Somebody had put a super chat. He said we all Kemetic Egyptian mummy crackheads. He was just messing around. Somebody wanted to know is Moorish is the Moorish nation a 50c3? 501c3?
No, Moorish Science Temple of America existed before any of those designations existed. The Moorish Science Temple go back to 1913, and then before that, you can see it on the map of the tribe of Van Ishmael going back to the 1700s. So this has been around, but most layman people get into it now because they've grown up with European education, or they weren't really into reading, or they weren't really plugged into wanting to know more about themselves. So now that we do, you have the temple that existed from time immemorial to 1929, when the original tenant of what the Prophet and what the Moors, whatever was doing up to then, it went basically private, became more of a private organization, and then you had the so-called infiltrated version that got reinstituted in 1938, which then brought into being the so-called religious pseudo-corporate aspect, solely United States Corporate Act, through 501c3s and all that. So there may be a Moorish Science Temple here and there that are 501c3s, but the Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine National Movement, is not a 501c3. It exists before that, and anybody that was maybe grandfathered into that position. But that's not the position that it exists in. It exists in the position of what you could categorize as a vast estate or a vast empire, and
Right.
that's why we can claim
Right.
it.
So, oh yeah, you go ahead and get your questions ready. We're gonna take a couple more questions. Somebody said, what is that? What is that? Where'd that go? What is the? Let me see. What is the name of the original nation in 1700s?
Original nation of what?
It just say nation in the 1700s.
Well, depending on what dialect you spoke it. You named this place was named by what you spoke. So we call this the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? But in ancient times, you know what I'm saying? It was
Yep.
called in Japan. They called this place Beikoko. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Another time, if you were
Moorish
Latin, it
nation.
would be if you were speaking from the Latin, it would be the Almoricanos Estados. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
He talking
You would
about the
speak.
Moorish nation. And somebody hinted that they found crack in the they found crack in the mummies. Um I think he wants you to go in on that a little bit. That they found crack in
The drugs,
they found
the
crack in the
drugs.
mummies.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at images of Nimrod, first thing you'll notice is that he was a giant, and next thing you'll notice is that in some of the scenes he's holding a poppy seed, holding a giant poppy seed. Where was they getting poppy seeds at, if not Afghanistan, right? But then where did Afghanistan? Because at one point all of the weed was coming from the Hindu Kush, right? But where did the people in the Hindu Kush get the weed from if the weed was not indigenous to that place? You know what I'm saying? They was getting it from those of us that was over here through the Phoenician seafarers or the Fomorians, or any of the ancient names we had that was coming back and forth and bringing it to them. You know what I'm saying? For whatever purpose they were using it for. Just because they found it in a system like that don't mean it was affecting them the way it was affecting us. It don't mean it was the same type of crack or cocaine. It's some whole other shit.
Okay,
It's some
let me see. We got
whole
any
other.
we got any more questions? Y'all got to excuse me, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a historian. I might not be the best guy. I don't have no, historian
That's why I gave
questions.
the book.
You know what I'm saying? So y'all gotta excuse me for that. This was a bill for the newer people that's coming in on the trendy movement, because their information has been tainted on the movement, and so people are being painting us as a bunch of people who just sprung up. We watched a couple Dane Calloway videos and we just like sprung up and shit. And then there's rumors that we read a Russian document and we just like went with it. You know what I'm saying? And so it was basically supposed to for the newer people coming in. The Aboriginal movement does have lineage. You know what I'm saying? And it does have
Yeah,
it does go
the thing
back. And we're not saying anything new. It's just the only difference is that we're trending now, and back in the day we wasn't they wasn't trending as much, and so we're carrying some of the information to another generation, and now the information is trendy. So do not be alarmed and do not be fooled to make to when people try to say we watch some Dane Calloway videos and we just ran with it and shit. That's some bullshit. That was the purpose of the bill. I don't have no historian questions. I'm not a historian, so you know, um, so we'll probably have them come back another time. You know what I'm saying, with some historians so they can chop it up on that type of level. Because I know a lot of y'all guys are very advanced and y'all know all about the ancient cultures and shit. And I don't like all that is completely like oblivion to me. So sorry about that. And to the new people that's out there, you know what I'm saying. Um, welcome aboard, man. We got to get active. You know what I'm saying? We got to get active because the lie is out there and the lie looks super dope. The lie is super cool, super sexy. The lie got all the new type gadgets, and we got the truth, and we over here broken down in the basement and shit. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta, you know, come up, come out, and that was the whole, purpose of the build, and the brother go deep, so y'all definitely check him out. You know what I'm saying? You got it, the House of L at hotmail.com. You know what I'm saying? The brother's a friendly brother. You know what I'm saying? He ain't one of those type of brothers you want to get on your video and then you want to get the drilling them and arguing and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's not the type of brother. You know what I'm saying? He's a humble brother. He comes out. He has his philosophy. Some people, to me, I'm a numbers guy. So I believe every philosophy out there got some truth, got some bullshit, and got some questionable things. That's just mathematically makes sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has that. Even myself. You watch some of my videos, you're gonna find some truth, you're gonna find some questionable, and you're probably gonna find some bullshit. And that's just how math works to me. So but we're gonna let the brother go ahead and close out. You know what I'm saying? Let everybody know, where we can get you at. He's been out here and he's been active. So he's been out here, he's been active for a while. And you could check out the last video he did. He'll be coming back. You know what I'm saying? I'll be talking to the brother, and you know, we building. You know what I'm saying? We building out here. Um, and I don't know the brother that well, but also, shout out to Black Lotus because Black Lotus hooked me up with him, and the people in the community was telling us because we was like, I was coming out there, I was like, who y'all want to get on the show? And his name came up. People was like, get Duke Tears, get Duke Tears. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know who he was, and then I found out, like, man, this dude is hot. Like, we got people still commenting. He did a video a year ago. We still getting people commenting on his video we did a year ago. I'm like, God damn. You know what I'm saying? But so definitely check him out. All the stuff we're saying, it is not new. It's just old stuff and it's trendy now. So somebody said building bridge relationship not divided. Right. Right. So we out here. You know what I'm saying? He's melanated brother. So we're gonna let him go in and we just gonna wrap it up and just keep it moving. And maybe have him back on some dialogue bills where we can get some actual, history guys to talk the history stuff. Cause I'm totally the Khazarians and the Ishmaelites and like I'm totally just like I'm like
Yeah, that's why I left the books. That's why I left the books. So everybody could go back and you can start reading some of these books and see what I'm talking about and get familiar with these names and all that. Because these people, the Caucasians be talking about these people in front of your face every day. And, in the end, it don't matter if we know what they are. He know what they mean. And when your enemy can speak about his plans in front of you without you understanding what those plans are, you're a slave. So these people are right. If they are referring to themselves by conquered terms that the enemy gave them, no matter what those terms are, that's what they have identified with. So they should try to get whatever they can get under that designation if that's what they choose to do. Me, I don't come from a people that did that. I came from the people who fought against all of that and to the detriment of ourselves and the castigation of our own people. Therefore, I don't have to get involved in different sociological debates and different sociological situations as to what it means to be a more whatever with people that's not. You understand? The same way I wouldn't expect a Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish person, no matter how much I may know about that particular doctrine, to sit down and hear me have to bust down what it really is. You know what I'm saying? He know what it is. He know what he's dealing with. But the fact that somebody that's not from that nation can sit there and dictate it to you would then mean he would be a what? A slave. And that would mean then what? He would be going back to his original position. And they don't want to do that. So they want as many dumb niggas around them as possible, many people around them as possible that don't understand where they come from, who they are, and how the actual place of government stuff that they do in this business and get incentives and stuff through was actually set up by their ancestors, was actually built by their ancestors. These crackers didn't build nothing. I don't care what picture you show me. You will never see them show you pictures of certain buildings being built. They can only show you pictures of them restoring it or being destroyed. This is true throughout their documented history, especially coming from the 1800s. But we don't have any mechanism in our community to deal with investigating things like that. We don't have anything in our community anybody in our community willing to establish different things to go out there and find these black women that's being kidnapped and abducted and all that. We don't have that. What we want to do is we want to debate on who is here first and all of that, when all we would need to do is unite behind, if we can't unite as a people, let's unite behind a specific trust. The trust of so-called whoever against police brutality. And then from that private trust, establish a fund, an endowment that creates a private security force to protect their people. But see, to do stuff like that, you can't do that with a lawyer. You can't do that with an attorney, because they're just going to turn that to your detriment, because they really work for the people you're trying to stop, regardless to what color they are. Which means the only people you could deal with to do that would be people in the community who know how to deal with law that's not associated with that on that level. And the only people out of all of the so-called black conscious groups and communities that I know that deal with law every day are the Moors. So in the end, the way that I see it is it's all going to come out. It already has. The more they deny where this information is really coming from, the more it's going to be exposed as to the true origin of it. And the more it's going to come from the most unlikely of sources. And when it do, everybody remember where you heard it and what show it was on, because it ain't going to be, it's not about I told you so. It's more about us putting aside the folly, man, the incipient rivalry that was fostered the same way they fostered the rivalry against the tribes in so-called Africa during their so-called colonialization, that they still in. You understand? So you have people wanting to denote themselves and unite themselves with a people who not only have never acknowledged them, but who themselves have never stopped being under the same yoke that they pretend they outside of. Only certain African nations got a certain degree of autonomy, but 64% of them pay France alone 50% of their GDP every year under what they call the pact for the continuation of colonialism. This is happening today. So they are using your history, the same colonial history that you niggas say that you didn't have no so-called thing in, when the people at the time that they set these agreements up was under your ancestors, who happened to be under the name of this thing, who they usurped and got you to turn against, which you now doing today. So again, I clap for everybody that's doing that. Continue to do that, because the judgment is going to come sooner than you think, because the people internationally know. See, I done travel around the world like this, B. You know what I'm saying? Niggas can say what they want on the internet. I done been to these places. I got documents, all pictures, all of that. Years worth. Because nobody gave me this. You understand? I had to go get it. For real. Digging. Stealing. You understand? What it's like, you understand? These niggas, if you steal certain books from certain libraries, do you know that that's a multiple felony? You could do life in some states for that.
For doing
Meanwhile,
what?
Life.
For doing what?
Stealing a book. Stealing books. Certain books out the library. Dude, this is what it is. This is how deep it is. And then the irony is that there's mad libraries closed all over the country right now. So each one of them book, but they keep them libraries on the books. You know why? Because they get to cash in on them every year by keeping them closed. You understand? Because they know they got niggas on the internet. Niggas don't read, but it's in the books. We got to go back to literature. You got to go back to cutting the phone off and actually reading to your children, reading to yourself, or having a computer read to you, whatever. Sleep with the book under your pillow. That's what I used to do. That's word. I used to sleep with that shit under the pillow. I would wake up, read that shit. It was like nothing. So again, you got to I had to trick myself into studying at times when I didn't want to. You understand? The same way I had to do to work out and things like that. Because it's just as important, because this is about my life. What I don't know in this world can kill me. You understand? What you don't know about yourself, what you don't know about Moorish history could be your detriment. Think about that. Any nigga telling you not to research something or not to pay attention to something is your enemy. Think about that. This is not about just the surface level of whether you Aboriginal or you black or you this. This is about your immortal soul, homie. Whether you believe you got one or not. Because this cracker working on it every day. He got it set up for your children's children, knowing that his end is coming. And what he got us doing, he got us signing up to be cops. He got us signing up to do all this shit. He got to create chaos because we're that peaceful. Despite the killing, despite the death, despite the rape, despite the murder, despite the abortion, all that. He got to stop abortion because even with all the stuff happening to us, our birth rate is still higher than his and anybody else's. Don't let them tell you different. That's why melanin is $3 and 18 cents a gram. EU melanin, Theo melanin, white people melanin is 0 on the market. What does that tell you?
You mean 300?
But you know,
you mean 300?
$3.18 or $3.83. Look it up. It's one or the other. That's more than gold, bro. So where they getting the melanin from to weigh it? A gram. Think about that. See what I'm saying? We don't have no mechanism to help us with anything. And instead of us dealing with that, we're dealing with all of this other stuff. So again, the reason why we can't really get together, I feel, is because a lot of these dudes is on the take, and they have to keep the idea that we are separate going, because that keeps them in the position they at. That's what I've come to understand in the past 20 plus years I've been doing it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So anybody got another opinion, that's on them. I don't care. I don't care enough to sit down to work that out at this point. I'd rather speak to the people directly and let's do it like that. But in terms of like all of this, let's get together with these people. If you don't got no nationality, if you don't got no status on paper, I'm not sitting down and saying nothing to you because you're probably an agent. Period. So let me see your passport. Let me see the picture on the passport. You got a headdress on in it? No? Nah, you stateless. You belong to them. You probably work for them. It's that simple for me now. It's that simple. Because people with nationalities and shit like that, I'm not having these problems with. I'm sorry, I'm just not having the problems. They not questioning me and trying to whatever. If anything, they want to learn. They like, what is that? That's what the rulers in my country wear on their head. This is what the white people saying in Europe, the Jews and these people. Same ones calling you niggas and shit, grabbing their purse when they walk by.
Hey, I got one last question. Somebody want to know. Hold on. The question left. Hold on. 1 second. Where'd it go? Who are the Canaanites? I believe.
The original Canaanites are the Moors. It was a tribe. It was the Canaanites, the Moabites, the Amorites, and the Hittites. They hooked up with the original so-called Israelites, the people they refer to as the Israelites that came out of Egypt with Igubata, with so-called Moses, like in the Ten Commandments. They dwelt in a place called Midian, which is now today Arabia, for 40 years. During that time, they learned and created, basically adopted the ancient Canaanite language and basically dubbed it Hebrew. And then with their forces, decided to go in and shut down Canaan on behalf of what they believed Allah told them to do. But these peoples was giants and all of that. So you had different levels of them. So some of them was like too enormous to really be even seen. But then you had the ones that was like smaller, like Thanos or like the Hulk size. So they would get picked on and ate and all that like any regular human. So they wind up, you know what I'm saying? So they wind up converting. They Canaanites though, you know what I'm saying? But they not like that. So they wind up converting. You see what I'm saying? And being like, nah, we're going to roll with y'all. We're going to work with y'all to shut all of these other ones down. And this is where the story of the Lord of the Rings and all this other type of shit come from. And then after the whole thing, they basically was kind of counted and then out of them came the tribes. We know it's like Judah, Reuben, Dan, all that other stuff. And then eventually, because they were the inheritors of that, they had their own kingdoms. And then out of these came the people today, we today call the Moabites or the Moors.
Cool.
So, in essence, black people.
Right.
That used to be giants, that, you know what I'm saying, that existed from time immemorial, that went through their changes, and now they us, and we don't forgot all of that shit. And now we think it's white people, Gerard Butler and the rest of these niggas at 300. We think that's them.
Feather Dragon, what's up? Where you been? You been out there, man? Nice to see you. So we gonna go ahead and wrap it up, y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's Aseer Duke of Tears. You know what I'm saying? He's another generation of people that carry the Aboriginal knowledge. It doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Dan Calloway, he put out some five. He just dropped another 5 video. Corey Mayo just dropped another 5 video out there. But it doesn't start there. It did not start watching Dane Calloway videos. This stuff has been handed down from generation to generation to generation, and now your generation has the chance to do something, make something, real with it. Whether you believe it or not, you know what I'm saying, it's been handed down and handed down. This is a handed down thing. This is a generational passed along thing, you guys. This is not a Dane Calloway. Oh, Dane Calloway